Welcome back to Truly Heal, and today we look at the 9 reasons why ozone is so extremely helpful with so many different diseases, why it works for such a variety of different ailments. And at the end of this training, you receive a 10% discount coupon. So don't forget to stick right with me to the end to not miss out. Now let's first look at some of the diseases that we have proven results, that we have plenty of research that ozone is effective. It's all viral, bacterial, fungal and parasitic infections. And there is plenty more. HIV, chronic hepatitis B and C, herpes zoster, papillomavirus, colds and flu, sinusitis, ear infections, infected wounds, candida, STDs. You know, many sexually transmitted diseases can be treated effectively with ozone. And even toenail fungus as an external is very successfully reversed with ozone. So in regards to infections, we all have. EBV virus is common in every second person. So it's very easy to have that as a latent infection, which might not be obvious, but you still have it. So it reduces your immune response. The other group of diseases is, for example, metabolic syndrome, heart, obesity, insulin-resistant, pre-diabetic or diabetic conditions where ozone is very effective. Ischemic diseases, restricted blood supply to your limbs, to organs. Retinal degenerative disorder, whether that's cataracts or glaucoma or optic nerve restriction, inflamed, dry eye disease, all of them respond. Neurodegenerative disease, autoimmune diseases, it's a staple in every cancer clinic because of the effects it has on cancer. Leaky gut, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. Everybody who's exposed to any kind of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides will have that problem. Anti-aging, overuse or antibiotic resistance, dermatological, pulmonary disease, pre and post surgery, and chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and probably many more. And when you realize now, as we go through the 9 effects, what ozone actually does, you understand why it is so effective for each of those different problems. Now, as a disclaimer up front, the only thing we want to avoid is breathing in ozone. If you have ozone exposure, it oxidizes your lungs, which have very little antioxidant value. So in regards to that, you start coughing 10-15 minutes and then it's over. But it's very unpleasant. So don't do that. We add to all our kids destruct units and instructions on how to connect it properly. We have closed systems so nothing escapes into the room, and that's how we can make ozone safe for use at home. Internally applied, ozone is extremely effective because it reacts with the plasma, with the blood, with all the cells in your blood, and through that creates a whole avalanche, a chain reaction of events, increasing NRF2 and any other factors that we need to trigger healing, and that's what we want. Now let's go through the 9 points that are relevant for us to understand why ozone works. Number 1, we already spoke about it. It's antibacterial, viral and antifungal, and it kills pathogens outright. And not only on contact, but also through secondary means, through the creation of enzymes, through the creation of cytokines, communication of your immune system. It's a phenomenal systemic treatment. Even though you only insert a tiny portion into your colon or vagina, and all of a sudden you have a systemic reaction. I'll show you in a moment why. It's anti-inflammatory, which is really important. If you have low oxygenation, you have high acidity, you might have an infection or leaky gut, then that's how you look. Your whole body is inflamed. And that's where ozone works against NF-kappa B, which is that oxidative stress response, and reduces that. It produces antioxidants, it upregulates NRF2, and therefore with oxygen as a medium, as a helper, it reduces inflammation quite dramatically. That also increases ATP production, your energy levels. And we know that when you have a disease, it's draining, right? It's exhausting. Just think about your last flu and you sit there and you don't want to get up and you want to stay in bed and you're really exhausted. You could sleep the whole day and night. Well, that's how much a disease, any form of disease, drains you. Now, if we go and don't feed energy into the body, we don't produce more energy in the body, and you have a chronic disease which lasts for a long time, well, you slowly deplete. And we see that in patients who suffer long-term from chronic diseases. They have no more energy. They have no more power to heal, to reverse the disease. And that's when they get into the stage where they want to give up. So inducing that energy, increasing energy levels is crucial for healing. And that's what you do with ozone. And I have a whole video on that with this title page. So you can just simply watch that, how it activates your whole Krebs cycle, produces more energy, reverses all inflammation, helps with mitochondrial disorders. So that's a whole subject on its own. And you can learn that the upregulation of NRF2 counteracts the increased reactive oxygen species and mitochondrial disorders. So it's a very, very powerful treatment to bring up your energy. In regards to detoxification, because we write here, ozone supports detoxification. It works directly on petrochemicals and chemicals. So if you have a high chemical load, lots of medication that you've taken, a lot of creams and petrochemicals and cosmetics and stuff that you put on, or you work in an environment with lots of oils and petrochemicals and chemicals, then they accumulate in the body. They're absorbed through the skin and accumulate in the body. Using ozone will break them down. It's used as a detox medium for industrial sludge. It dissolves all the oils and leaves water at the end. So it's a very effective treatment for that, but it doesn't detoxify heavy metals. So you need another treatment for that. But it activates your renal and your hepatic system. And this is extremely important. You will find in a future slide that I have coming up that the ozonides that we produce with an insufflation go directly into the liver. So liver support is very powerful, and also renal support to detoxify all the chelates from your body. As a painkiller, ozone is very effective on open wounds, on infected wounds, on radiation burns, external treatments, fungus, ulcers, lesions, all of those. So if you use it, the oxidative factor on the end of your nerve endings is very effective, and therefore you don't feel the pain anymore from open wounds and infections. So if you do bagging, if you do local treatments, even if you use ozone oils, it reduces the pain. Dr. Schallenberger called it sport in a bottle, or sport in an insufflation bag, exercise in an insufflation bag. And it's actually true. Again, I have a whole video that explains why ozone actually compensates for the lack of sport. You know, when you go up a flight of stairs, and the first time you're panting like crazy, the second and third time probably even more. And then if you keep doing it, you get more and more strength, more and more resilience, more and more oxygen utilization, and you don't get exhausted anymore. Now, the same effects as we have with sport, we have with ozone. So we make our body utilize oxygen a lot better. We provide the oxygen to go to the muscles, to go to the organs, and that is an effect that is very, very important in the healing process, because we need that energy to heal, and that increased oxygenation is anti-angiogenesis, so spreading of tumors, building of blood vessels. You know, the whole system needs more oxygen to function better, so that cancer doesn't spread, so that the healing can work, that we reduce inflammation. So it's a very, very effective treatment for that. I told you before that when we upregulate NRF2, it's a switch that turns on a whole body healing response, and that's done by the production of enzymes. See, when you have an infection, let's say you have a viral infection, the virus dogs onto any cell and breeds within the cell more virus and then uses the protein to replicate. Now, as soon as we use ozone, we create a protective shield around every single cell with enzymes, with catalase, superoxidase, dismutase, and glutathione peroxidase. And that means every virus that comes along bounces off, doesn't find a host. So if I keep using ozone for an extended time, I protect my whole body with those enzymes, which is then the antioxidant level goes up, my immune system goes up, and I'm far better preventing disease to spread in my body than without. This is really crucial if you go to a clinic and you have surgery and you're open and there is all sorts of antibiotic resistant bacteria around, that you protect yourself and protect all your healthy cells from getting infected. Wound healing is expedited. So it's really important. You realize I'm very passionate about it. Ozone improves elasticity of your red blood cells. Now, we talked about ischemic problems, which is restriction of blood supply to fine capillaries. Think about, you have a capillary, very fine, and now a red blood cell comes along and it doesn't fit in. It needs to fold up to go through that capillary, and the capillary needs to extend and be flexible to let that red blood cell through to release the oxygen. Now that happens as soon as you use ozone. The pliability of your red blood cells is greatly improved. And that's why diabetic neuropathy, all ischemic problems are resolved. And it is, again, not a treatment that works with one treatment and then you have a blood thinner. It actually is a continuous treatment that will then regulate and normalize all of those functions. Now, my biggest pleasure in dealing with ozone was that we found that it heals mucous membranes. And mucous membrane starts with your lips, goes all the way to your rectum, and that's one big systemic reaction of a mucous membrane. Now, the mucous membrane filters the outside world from the inside, plasma and blood and organs. So when you eat food, anything that goes in, what you drink, needs to be filtered. Nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, all the fatty acids need to go through, but the rest needs to stay out. Now, as soon as we have any kind of exposure to Roundup, to chemicals, to pharmaceuticals, then that mucous membrane gets fine little holes, perforations, where bacteria, undigested proteins, and mold and everything can get into the bloodstream, creating an inflammatory response and allergic response in the body. And then your immune system deals with those invaders instead of dealing with disease. And that's what heals in the shortest time when you use ozone. So ozone as a rectal insufflation, vaginal insufflation, sinus insufflation, drinking ozone water will heal all of your mucous membranes and start that filter process inside outside much more efficiently. It reduces all sorts of allergies, sensitivities, arthritis. You know, so many diseases disappear as soon as you start healing your gut. And this is the slide that I told you before. As soon as we have an ozone insufflation, the portal vein carries all of that oxygen and the ozonides produced in the reaction directly to the liver. The liver is the first organ to receive all of those ozonides, and that's why detoxification, breakdown of toxins, repair, activation of hormones, all of that is greatly enhanced as soon as you use ozone. Which means we have an overall improved system, overall more energy, more protection, and that's why this disease has an effect, or this treatment has an effect on so many different diseases. Now, in the Truly Heal Academy, where we educate health professionals and health coaches, we have a system where we look at what causes disease. We don't really look at treatments for disease, we look at what causes the disease, and that leads us through a whole range of different subjects that we need to check. If you have a high infectious load, well, then that will have certain symptoms that we can analyze and see, yes, it's this kind of infection. If you have deficiencies, if you have high toxicity, all the contributing factors that lead to disease. Now, you know, inflammation, we all know inflammation is the main cause of disease. Yeah, but what triggers the inflammation is what we would ask. Is it an infection? Is it a deficiency? Is it a toxic overload? Is it too much stress? Is it a lack of oxygen? All of those things cause inflammation. So finding out what drives that inflammation is probably more important than just taking curcumin, which then may lower it, but it comes back right the next day. Okay, so looking at the underlying cause is what we do. And then we find treatments that deal with those different factors. Now let me just show you in the next slide how cool ozone is. It deals with gut health. It repairs all our different gut problems. It deals with all infections, parasites, fungus, mold, candida, virus, you know, everything, bacterial overgrowth. It deals with deficiencies, not mineral and vitamin. You still need to take them as supplements, but amino acids, protective acids, the different antioxidants is triggered with that. Toxicity, I said it deals with liver support and kidney support, but it also breaks down toxicity of xenoestrogens, petrochemicals, all the chemical toxins that we absorb. It deals with oxygenation, and that's in the department of systemic health. And I didn't want to put too many circles, but it deals with the hepatic system, the blood, the renal system, the pancreas. All the systems are activated by ozone and directly motivated to function much better. And then it's an anti-inflammatory. So having one treatment that deals with so many different factors at once, what else could you wish for? It's probably the most inexpensive treatment which has so many beneficial factors that it becomes a mandatory treatment. And that's what we call it. Ozone is or should be mandatory for everyone because we all have leaky gut. We all have infections. We all live in a toxic world. We all have too much exposure to 50,000 toxins, you know, just in our normal household environment. So dealing with ozone is giving everybody a boost, healthy and the sick. Plus, increased energy production is absolutely important. So if you are interested in ozone, to get one of those ozone bundles, simply go to trulyheal.com/ozone. And we call that our Ozone University. You will learn how to set up everything, how to connect all the different pipes and stop valves, and how to do treatments at home. I show you how to fill a syringe, how to fill ozone insufflation bags, how to use your catheters for rectal and vaginal insufflation. It's all there. In the second page, you will find all the treatments with different recommendations. In Germany, they use low dose. In Cuba, they use higher dose concentrations. And we've listed them on the page of the 6 most popular or 7 most popular ozone treatments. How to make eye drops, how to make ozone water, how to do the different ear and sinus treatments. It's all there. And then we have a page where we focus on different diseases. Ozone and cancer, ozone and Lyme disease, ozone infectious diseases, ozone whatever. So you will find all the different treatment protocols, how to do it on those pages as well. So simply head over to trulyheal.com/ozone and learn how to use this miracle remedy at home. Not a cure, but a treatment that helps with many, many problems that you might have. And here is your coupon code. I promised at the end of all our trainings, 10% coupon. At checkout, when you buy your bundle, simply type in 03, not 03, 03 webinar 10. And now head over to the Ozone University and order your O3 Power Bundle right now.